Recently, a Christian man made a comment on one of my videos. He said, "You can only trust the Bible. You cannot trust your thoughts or your feelings." And if he could even just hear how he sounds to me, and it made me start to really think about my cult experience. It made me start to think about being brainwashing. So those of you who are new to my channel, I had an awakening out of a cult. It was a Christianity belief system that was very, very controlling. They pretty much dominated your life and your every move. Now, we were not under the impression that it was a cult. We just thought Jesus led us here, and we were being a world within a horrible world and just keeping to ourselves. They called it a city within a city. We didn't have to rely on the outside world, and we didn't need friends or family members on the outside world. However, we could meet people and testify to them and invite them in. So, that comment that he mentioned, don't trust your thoughts or feelings. One of the things that happened when I had an awakening, I began to realize that our natural instincts, our natural intuition, the thing that is a part of us, trust and vibes, trust and feelings. Religion will take your intuition away from you. They'll tell you not to trust yourself, not to trust your thoughts, not to trust your feelings. And when you have a question, they say, don't question the Lord thy God. And only him shalt thou serve. So they kind of block you at every end from opening up to what is more. And you would think that would be a telltale sign when someone tells you not to trust what you feel. Like, who else can you trust if you can't trust yourself? No wonder you're giving yourself away to this brainwashing illusion. And so I was looking up brainwashing and, trying to get like a definition. And I read that brainwashing is the concept that the human mind can be altered and controlled by certain psychological techniques. Okay? So religion is actively brainwashing people. And to the point where they say things that make no sense at all. And they don't even realize it. They're that brainwashed, they're that programmed. And they'll sit up and tell you that you're the one that's programmed. You're telling me I'm not programmed when you can't even think for yourself? You can't even trust your own feelings? Now, I've been thinking about talking about my cult experience, sharing it. Parts of me walked away from that and never wanted to look back. Parts of me know that it was something that it was really hard for me to shift from that perspective to remembering that I'm a creator God. And you see, I was thinking about the time I was in church, right? And I was believing what they were saying. Trust the Lord thy God, only trust the Bible, right? And, I had developed this relationship with what I thought was the Lord. And I was like, I believe in my trust, and I was all in the faith. And I just thought Jesus was so wonderful and beautiful. How are there people who don't want him? I couldn't see past the programming. And then one day, they would tell us not to look up these little stories of ex-members and stuff. And one day there was a woman. She had left the church or was kicked out, and she actually went on a famous talk show and talked about the church. And I remember I was young, my foster parents had forced me into this religion. And I remember this woman was adamant about her horrid experience. And she was mentioning that, they told her she couldn't have kids and that she'd rather go to hell than to continue being here. And I remember my pastor addressing it saying, hell is exactly where you're going. They labeled her as crazy, that something was wrong with her. They spun these little stories about her that were really negative. And, as faithful servants of the Lord of Jesus Christ, we believed every last one of them. So I shut that down because they say, don't look at it. It'll just influence evil thoughts into your mind, blah, 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 right? So I let that go. One day I was on the internet and I bumped into a story of a woman who had left the church. And I remember seeing this sister around the church. And she apparently was kidnapped by her parents away from the church, as the story goes. That her parents were like, you're in a cult, you gotta go. You can't. And so they forced her out, kidnapped her, and they put her in a facility to deprogram you from being brainwashed from a religious cult. And I remember I was like, I want to read this whole story. This woman, she left and she wrote this story. I found it on the internet. And so I began to read. I was just like, I don't understand. So I thought first, I was really sad. I was like, what? Why would God allow that? Why would he allow her parents to do that? And like, why would he take her joy in Jesus Christ and away from her? Why would this happen? So I began to read her story. And she said, for days I cried. I began to speak in tongues and I cried a lot. And she said, eventually, after, being in this facility and getting help, she eventually realized she was being brainwashed, that she was being programmed. And I read that and my jaw dropped because I was like, wait a minute. Let me tell you, that dropped the seed in my mind. Like, if this is that serious, if this is that real, how could she be unprogrammed from her faith, from what she believed in? I mean, and I didn't think it was programming. So I was thinking, how could she, how could it work what they're doing to her? How could they make her think that this was all an illusion, And I remember I was puzzled for a long time, and it sat back into the subconscious reaches of my mind. How did they take her? How did they change her mind from her faith like that, And, after I had my awakening and whatnot, I looked back at the situation and I was like, oh, I have been brainwashed. I was brainwashed and I was programmed. And, thank the Lord that her parents had enough sense to get her out of that situation. As an orphan, nobody was coming for me, I had to deal with that place. And it wreaked havoc on my human experience. And I was told to not trust my intuition, my natural feelings. And there were things in the Bible that wasn't right to me. There were things that they preached that I didn't agree with. And I was told to deny my intuition. I began to get dreams and visions of the church and of things that were going on. And they told me that I couldn't trust those, that if I was getting dreams, I was being influenced by the spirit of divination. And I needed an exorcism to cast out the spirit so I won't be seeing the future. So they minimized my natural gifts to something evil and actually had me believing in it. And when they did this whole exorcism where they so-called cast the spirit of divination out of me, they said I was supposed to feel better. And, my dreams and stuff, my visions, it did stop. but I had an emptiness within me. And I felt like something was wrong. And they told me, and I went to them, I said, look, you guys did this, cast this divination spirit out of me. Why does it feel something is wrong? They're like, oh, no, that's normal, okay? It's like you're receiving the baptism of Holy Ghost all again and you have a clean slate. And I said, okay, right? They told me not to trust the truth. They told me not to trust myself. They taught me that I was not a good person, that I was naturally born in sin and shaped in iniquity and in sin that my mother conceived me. We're all sinners from a newborn baby. And they projected so much self-hatred. And that was one of the things I came to terms with in my awakening. Like, I couldn't believe a place like this that's supposed to be of love and high vibrational projects so much self-hate. It was unbelievable. And this religion did a number on me. And I've wanted to talk about it. But like I said, I wanted to leave it alone and walk away from it. I wanted to completely be done, And, there are things that come up, I would easily forget about it, the commenter. And I know that's like a part of me manifesting these comments, right, from these negative Christian people. And it pretty much is kind of verifying, the situation. That they're so clueless, they don't realize that they come across extremely negative and nasty. They come across, judging people, which is a sin, but it is a risk they are willing to take to create a sin, to judge me. And, it's so sad to me. And I'm so thankful that my consciousness, I had an awakening out of that experience, And when someone tells you to not trust your feelings, your truth, your intuition, it's just wrong on all levels to me. It really is. And there were so many things that happened in that place. And it's unbelievable when I look at my journey that I even had this awakening to remembering I was a God. I was deep in the human experience. And, the thing about cults, right? They make you feel a part of something, They give you a family if you don't have one. They give you friends if you're all alone in the world. At least they pretend to be, And they seek out the people who, are are sad and depressed, that are looking for something. And, it's just really sad, Anyways, I'm thankful that I woke up from out of that experience. And, so many things happen. And I would like to share more about it because, it was interesting and crazy that I spun this into my human experience, I understand why. I understand that, as a God, not knowing I was a God, I was naturally looking for something of a higher power to connect to until I realized that was me. And, I don't know, for story's sake, I'm thinking about sharing parts of the story. Now, I don't know if I should say the name of this place out loud. I want nothing more, let me tell you, I want nothing more than to warn people when going to this church, I don't know what the legal ramifications would be. And I also know they are creator gods, and I am a creator god. And if they're in that experience, they might want to be. Or in my timeline, it might show them in that experience to teach me a lesson. But, I'm not going to bash them or anything, It was crazy. A lot of things happened. And so I don't know, I'm thinking about sharing more of this series of, being in a cult, breaking away from a cult, all the steps that it took me to awakening while I was there, And some people don't even realize they're in a cult. I didn't know we were in a cult. They won't call it a cult themselves. It took me coming out of it, right? And then realizing, like, oh, they are a cult, They had you so programmed, right? They said, if you leave the church and you talk any word about this church bad or whatever, you are considered a reprobate, meaning you are eternally judged, meaning that's your final judgment. It's over for you, okay? You are being unalived for show and going to deep, dark places. So everybody who's left this church are scared to talk about it. And, during the time where I wasn't there anymore, I tried to connect with other members. I grew up there. I didn't know anybody else. And so I tried to connect with people who left, because the people there, they would not talk to you. They shun you after you leave. And so everybody is afraid to say anything. They're afraid to talk. When I first started my channel, and I spoke about the church one time, and so many got mad at me. I had people who I was good friends with that told me, I'm sorry, I can't listen to you anymore. I'm sorry, we can't be friends. You're speaking against the church, blah, 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 blah. And so I really had to stand alone after that. And, in the beginning, I didn't know everything I knew now. I just know I had to follow my soul. I had to follow what my intuition, what I knew to be true and right. See, things will happen in a church that will break down the illusion. Once you begin to evaluate your belief system, you'll start getting answers, seeing the truth, And it takes many levels of that, And I don't know if talking about this is a good thing or bad thing. Maybe it'll help somebody, Maybe I need to just talk about it. I don't know. Maybe I need to share my journey, release this. I don't know. I really pride my channel on being positive and high vibrational. And I hope to inspire others and help people embrace their power, embrace that they are a God, okay, that they're a creator God. I want to help you embrace your divinity, okay? If I had a mission, that would be it, right? I feel like religion has got away too long, robbing people of the truth, And I can't control, what they all do, right? But I'm thankful I got out. And if my experience, if I share it and it helps one person, right, then that's great, After you hear my message, it's up to you to make your decision. Whatever you decide as a creator God, it's not really my business. That's your experience. But all I know is what I know. That awakening to being God, leaving that religion was the best day and the best experience of my life. I know part of why I was there because the contrast is so different from being in bondage to the freedom of being a God. And that contrast, I'm pretty sure, was part of the reason why I allowed myself to experience such a limited and restrictive belief system. So tell me what you guys think. Should I continue this series of sharing my experience and from being a cult member? And so I would title it, I was thinking, From Cult Member to Creator God. So I don't know, give me some feedback and let me know what you think. Would you like to hear it? And also wonder, I know I talk only about the spiritual stuff, like, do you guys want to hear more about, I don't know, my life, my family, how we embrace who we are in our everyday life, how we raise our children, how we, cohabit and have a successful marriage, and and just share little things. I'm willing to do that. Sometimes I'm just afraid to, because I got people used to just hearing this spiritual message. And like, and to be honest, it's not going to be unspiritual because we walk our whole life believing we're God. So everything we deal with is really from that perspective. Although we do get in our human perspective because, we have a life here, right? We're in a physical experience. So, my husband has to work. I have to take care of the kids. We've got a house to take care of, right? And so we are trying to balance this human God experience together as a family. So let me know if you want me to share more of that. Let me know if you want to share more of the code experience, and let me know if you want me to share more, vlogging information about us, I plan to do an introductory video soon. I think I need to redo my channel trailer. I have a lot of new people, and I'm starting to think that most of the viewers are all new from TikTok or Instagram. And I want to welcome you guys all right now. I appreciate you joining the channel, and I am going to get off right now. Thanks for watching, and sign up for my email list if you resonate. Have a nice day. Like, share, thumbs up, anything to help this message to get out.